Hello everybody and welcome to the first tutorial in my new series HTML for Beginners, and what we're going to be doing today is going through how to make your first HTML web page. Now HTML is the language that essentially runs websites. It tells your browser and your computer what to display, how interactions are going to work, and essentially it's the face of the internet. Everything you click on the internet will, in some form, consist of a HTML interface. Now, what we're going to do now is we're going to explore how we can create a basic web page which you'll be able to actually make a home. Now, I'm using Visual Studio Code. You may be using Notepad, Notepad++, or a similar text editor. If your page doesn't look exactly like mine, don't worry. Your text editor will not make a difference on your HTML because it's just used to edit it. It's not actually used to display it. So the first thing you want to do when you've opened it is save. So I'm just gonna go File, Save, and I have created a folder on my desktop, and I'm just going to save my page as index.html. Now you're probably thinking, why index? Well, it's the first page in our website. So think of it like the index in a book. You go there to look for what's in the book. You go there to quickly get there. Well, a website works on the same principle. It immediately searches for the index because from there we can reach every other page. So the first thing we want to do in our code is specify that we are in fact using a HTML document. This is not for our document's benefit, it's for our browsers. It's so our browser can go, yes, it's a HTML file, therefore I need to show a page. Because we have so many documents on the internet now, it's unbelievable. We have, things like Drive and, Drive, OneDrive, cloud storage. And our browser might not always know what certain file types are, so by saying it's HTML, it just makes it easier, and it says, right then, I need to display this, not I need to download this, if that makes sense. So from here we're going to open our HTML. So we create a new tag and HTML. Now if you have text editor like mine where it actually is able to adapt to the programming language or the markup language you're using, it will immediately close your tag because this is essentially what they're made to do. If you don't worry, you can just close it by using a / inside the tag. So / HTML, / whatever the tag's name is, because there's so many to choose from, and it will just close it for you. Everything in HTML works in sections that we can divide and split up. So the first section we want to create inside our HTML is a head. What this does is it does the thinking of our page. It says this is what the title's going to be, this is how certain things are meant to look, this is what's meant to happen when certain things are pressed, things like that. So inside this I'm going to set our title. Now this isn't actually going to appear on our page, it appears in the tab. So in our browser it'll say at the top, like when you go on BBC News, it will say BBC News in the tab. It's just so our users can identify our page. So what I'm going to call this is tutorial page. Nice and simple and easily memorable. Now, as I said, our tags are already closed in my software. If yours aren't, you need to make sure that your code looks exactly like mine does now, and you're going to save. So, Control S. So, in order to actually look at our page in our browser, we're going to go to our desktop, and we're going to navigate to where we've saved our website. As I said, I'd already created a folder called website. Yours may be something different. I'm going to open up this, and from here, which opens this window, I'm going to double click and it will run my page. Notice that there is nothing here, but if you look at the tab, you can actually see it says tutorial page. So I'm going to return to my code now. I'm not going to close it, I'm going to leave it open because any changes now, all we have to do is press refresh. So inside my code I can now create a body. Now this goes after the head has to be closed. And the reason for this is the body is what we see on our web page. If it's still inside the head, it might not load simply because it will think that this is some more behind the scenes code rather than forefront, and certain browsers might not be able to say it's a body tag, it needs to repair and have it built in where it overrides that decision that you've made. So make sure it goes after your head. From here I'm going to create a heading, so I open up a new tab and use page 1. Now you might have seen there that there's actually quite a few numbers. The smaller the number, the bigger the heading, the clearer the heading. So what we're going to do here is I'm just going to put tutorial page. Now you're probably sitting there thinking he's made it the same as his title. Well, if I save it, you can now see when I click back into my browser and refresh, it says tutorial page. It's just so when people come onto the page, specifically me in future tutorials, I'll be able to sit here and remember exactly what this page was for and what's going to go on it. So that's quite big text. What can I add to it that's smaller? Well, we can use a paragraph. Now a paragraph tag we use P. So headings H1, H2, H3 and so on, paragraphs P. And what a paragraph does is it predefines a size that will make it so bigger bodies of text don't take up too much room, and it actually makes more sense to have it work this way. So what we're going to do is I'm going to put, this is my tutorial page, this is a paragraph. Now if I save it, and again I'll return to my browser, refresh, you can see that it's actually going to work a lot better for larger bodies of text. And the best thing about using these kind of tags is they're already formatted. What this means is that they already have a style. So the word wrap might not seem like a big thing, but it essentially says this is going to fit onto the page, so when you zoom out it will stay in a line, but when you zoom in it splits them into blocks or chunks like Lego. So things go, right, it's got to go off the page, I'm going to slot it underneath instead. So it's nice that you have that inbuilt functionality right from the start, and it will make initial development of websites easier. So from here, as I said earlier, we have more than one heading. I'm going to create H2, just so as we can explore the difference in the heading sizes. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to put heading 2. This is still my tutorial page. The reason I'm using slightly more text on this as opposed to my original heading is so you can see exactly how much smaller this font is compared to it. So I've saved, I'll return to my browser and refresh, and you can see it's somewhere in the middle of a paragraph and my initial heading. If I go back and change, well, I'm going to copy this, so Control C. I'm going to go underneath and I'm going to change it to heading 3, including right over here. If I save it again and return, you can actually see it starts to get smaller and smaller to the point where a heading 6, it will most likely resemble your paragraph, but will have bold formatting, so it will still stand out, but it won't stand out as much. It's just brilliant for design purposes, because obviously not every heading has to stand out. We have subheadings and we have subheadings, and it's just easier to arrange content. So there you have it. That is a very easy to make initial page. I hope that you found this helpful, and if you want to check out any more, please feel free to subscribe, hit that notification bell just so as you can see when I've uploaded it. I'm aiming to do 1 video a week, and I will see you in the next video where I'll be going through more complex ideas as to what else you can add to your website.